New York forgot his name. The Daily Bugle erased his face. MJ didn't flinch when he passed her. And Aunt May's grave had no flowers from him. But in the darkest corner of the city, one villain never forgot. He remembered every scream, every scar, every secret. And now he wants Spider-Man to remember too. The sky over Queens cracked with thunder, but Peter didn't flinch. No one looked up, not at the boy sitting on the rooftop, not at the hero without a name. His mask lay beside him, damp from a storm, forgotten like everything else he once was. Below, New York City roared with life. Honking, screaming, racing forward, without him. Not a single whisper of Spider-Man. Not in the streets. Not in the newspapers. Not even in the Daily Bugle, which now raged against mutant politics instead of masked vigilantes. It was as if he never existed. Peter Parker had become a ghost. A shadow even in daylight. People passed him by like a stranger. MJ looked through him like glass. Ned's laugh, once the soundtrack of Peter's life, now echoed behind cafe counters where he worked part-time and thought Peter was just another customer. Even Happy didn't remember why he got so sad every time he walked past Stark Tower. And Peter, he didn't try to explain. Not anymore. He didn't fight the loneliness. He wore it like armor, until the body dropped. A scream split the air as a man fell 6 stories. His back snapped in two like brittle glass. Peter was the first to reach him. No cameras, no cheers, just the faint gurgle of the dying. Carved into the man's jacket were 2 words, "Still remember." Peter stared. Cold sweat broke across his neck. It wasn't just a message, it was a signature. A voice from the past clawing its way into the present. He scanned the alley. No cameras, no scent, no webbing left behind. Just blood and silence. Someone out there remembered him. But not just remembered, hunted. That night he didn't sleep. His tiny apartment, bare walls, cracked mirror, single twin bed, felt like a trap. He checked the windows 3 times. The mask stayed close. At 3:12 a.m., the message came. A burner phone lit up with a number he hadn't used since he wore the red and blue suit full-time. No ID, just an image. His old apartment, on fire. By the time he got there, it was ash. And on the charred bricks, drawn in soot. "You took everything. I'm giving it back." Peter staggered backward. Someone knew. Someone had slipped through strange spell. Someone had broken the silence, shattered the veil, and remembered everything. The mask, the face underneath it, the pain, the vengeance. He made it back to his place and opened a dusty chest under the bed. Old suits, torn lenses, the USB from Tony, a photo of him, MJ, and Ned from a time that technically no longer existed. He stared at the picture. Then he noticed something taped to the back. It wasn't there before. He peeled it slowly. A newspaper clipping. Not from today, not even this decade. It was from 6 years ago. Mac Gargan to undergo memory wipe therapy in Ravencroft. Unstable post-symbiote aggression reported. Peter's heart dropped. Mac Gargan, Scorpion. He wasn't just another thug. He was a venom-soaked psychopath who had once tried to melt Spider-Man's organs with acid venom and nearly succeeded. And Ravencroft? Memory wipe therapy meant he was hooked into electroneural nets, just like the kind that could disrupt magical interference. If Strange Spell had missed even one person, it would have been someone like him, hooked up to machines in a surgical fog when the spell washed over the world. Gargan never forgot. Peter grabbed his mask and bolted into the storm. The city had moved on, but the villains? They just adapted. In the alleys of Brooklyn, graffiti appeared overnight. Spider symbols with XS slashed across them. In the subway, a child screamed about a monster with a tail no one else could see. At a construction site, a crane collapsed, but no malfunction was found. Only acid burns on the steel. It was a trail of silent chaos. Peter followed it into the sewers beneath Manhattan. No map, no backup, no Avengers. The Avengers didn't even know who he was anymore. Only him, only Peter, only the forgotten boy chasing memories through the dark. And in that dark, something moved. Not a shadow, a whisper. You left me. Peter turned, eyes wide behind the mask. You locked me away while you danced with redheads and played hero. He backed up slowly. The air stank of rot and venom. I remembered every day in that cage. Every electric pulse. Every shock. Every echo of your name. Peter's foot hit a wire. Too late. The tunnel exploded with light. A wall of memory projections surrounding him. Old battles. Flashbacks. Times he thought were lost forever. There was Gargan. Screaming. Bleeding. Raging. You're a ghost now, Parker. But I'm the one who died. From the shadows, he stepped forward. Scorpion's armor had changed. Sleeker. Hungrier. Wired with stolen tech. His tail hissed with glowing green venom. I didn't just remember you, Gargan snarled. I rebuilt you. In my head. Every day. And now I'm tearing you down. He lunged. Peter dodged, barely. The tail clipped aside, melting part of his suit. He winced, rolled, launched a web. But the web disintegrated midair. EMP pulse. Gargan smiled. This isn't about Spider-Man. This is about Peter Parker. Peter stood, gasping, heart racing. This wasn't a fight. It was a message. You erased your past, Gargan growled, stepping closer. But some of us, we live in it. He vanished into the steam. Peter collapsed to one knee, gripping his side. The spell was cracking. The city may have forgotten Spider-Man, but the past had teeth, and it was coming for him. The rain hadn't stopped in 2 days. Peter sat by the cracked window of his apartment, watching the city blur behind streaks of water. The mask hung from a nail on the wall, like a ghost from another life. He couldn't sleep, not after what Scorpion said, not after those memory projections, not after hearing his name, Peter Parker, spoken by someone who wasn't supposed to know it anymore. The spell was breaking, or worse, someone was breaking it on purpose. He paced the room, hands twitching. Every corner felt like a trap, every sound outside like a footstep from the past. He hadn't told Strange. Not yet. Not until he knew for sure. If Gargan remembered him, who else might be waking up? At 4:09 a.m., a new message buzzed through the old Stark phone. Do you know what memory smells like? There was an address. No signature. No warning. Peter didn't hesitate. Within minutes, he was back in suit, swinging through a storm-soaked city that no longer knew his name. Not the cops. Not the citizens. Not even the criminals. But someone did. Someone was watching. The address led him to an old warehouse on the edge of the Hudson. Abandoned. Windows shattered. One streetlight flickered above the loading dock like a dying heartbeat. Peter slipped inside. The air reeked of something artificial. Not rot. Not blood. Ozone. Electricity. The moment he stepped forward, the door slammed shut behind him, and the floor exploded with light. A massive projector activated. His memories, flashed onto the warehouse walls. Uncle Ben's hand slipping away in an alley. Gwen Stacy's neck snapping in the void. Tony Stark dying in his arms, whispering his last words. MJ's teary smile at the Statue of Liberty. Every crack, every failure, every scar buried by strange spell, now unearthing themselves in glorious, violent HD. Peter gasped. The images weren't digital. They were neural, direct downloads from his own mind. You smell it now, don't you? A voice echoed. That's fear, Parker. That's what memories do. Scorpion stepped out from behind a pillar, his suit sleeker than ever, laced with neural transmitters pulsing red. His tail coiled like a serpent, dripping venom. I've been collecting, he said, bits of your history, from wreckage, from brainwaves, from the holes in my skull they forgot to patch after Ravencroft. And now, he pointed the tail toward the ceiling. I'm giving the city a reminder. A giant antenna emerged, humming with frequency. It wasn't meant to destroy. It was meant to broadcast. You're going to make them remember. Peter fired a web. Scorpion swatted it midair with his tail. You always thought you were the good guy, Gargan growled, rushing forward. But they forgot you too easily. That's how much you mattered. Peter blocked the tail with both arms, launched himself into a backflip, and slammed a knee into Gargan's jaw. But the villain didn't fall. He laughed and triggered the pulse. The antenna flashed. Across the city, people screamed. Dozens, hundreds. Memory fragments blasted into their minds like shards of broken mirrors. A woman collapsed on the train, sobbing uncontrollably about the boy in red. A kid in Brooklyn drew a spider symbol in chalk, then wiped it away and cried. MJ, closing her bakery, suddenly dropped her keys and froze, staring at a poster of the Avengers with tears running down her cheeks. Ned woke up at his desk in a cold sweat, saying one word, Peter. Peter clutched his head, even he felt it. New memories were bleeding into him, old timelines rushing back like tidal waves. You think hiding your identity saved them? Scorpion hissed. You erased yourself and left the scars behind. Peter groaned, forced himself up, and web-yanked the antenna. It sparked. It screeched, but didn't fall. Gargan grabbed him midair, slammed him into the floor, and whispered, Every time they forget you, I'll remind them, with pain. Peter exploded with a double kick to the chest, broke the tail with a spin move, and webbed the broken piece to the antenna's core. Electricity snapped, circuits fried, and the tower imploded. The broadcast stopped, but the damage was done. Peter stood in the wreckage, mask torn, suit burning. Scorpion lay unconscious in a heap of his own armor. The warehouse was quiet again, and then the air changed. A crack in the shadows. A circle of sparks erupted midair. Dr. Strange stepped through. His eyes scanned the chaos. His cloak hovered, tense. The expression on his face wasn't anger. It was worry. You felt it too, didn't you? Peter asked, pulling off his mask. Strange nodded. The spell's degrading, cracks forming in places it shouldn't. Peter exhaled. It's Gargan. He remembered everything, and he's forcing it back into everyone. Strange walked to the shattered projector, inspected the neural tech. His fingers brushed the residue. This isn't just memory. It's tethered emotion. That's why it's breaking the spell. Fear, grief, love. Peter swallowed hard. MJ, she looked at me today, just for a second, like she knew me. Strange didn't answer right away. Then, quietly, you need to prepare for what happens next. If even one person fully remembers you, the whole spell collapses. Peter looked down at Scorpion's body. He wasn't afraid of being remembered. He was afraid of why they forgot in the first place. Strange opened a portal back to the sanctum. Leave him. I'll contain the tech. But this isn't over. Peter didn't move. If I fight back, if I help people remember, is that wrong? Strange paused. No, but it comes with consequences. Peter nodded once, then disappeared into the night, mask in hand, eyes burning with something deeper than anger. Conviction. The world forgot who Spider-Man was. But memory was contagious, and one villain's revenge had just infected the whole city. The city was restless. Not loud, not chaotic, restless. Like something underneath its skin had started to shift. People walked faster, talked softer, looked over their shoulders, and didn't know why. They were remembering ghosts that didn't exist. Peter swung through the streets, with unease tightening in his chest. The antenna was gone. Scorpion was in Strange's custody, but the aftermath was already spreading. MJ stared at him for longer now. Ned hesitated when they passed on the sidewalk. A man on the subway even whispered, "Spider," before blinking like it never happened. Whatever Mac Gargan started, it hadn't stopped. It was evolving. Peter tracked dozens of similar spikes. People waking up in the middle of the night screaming about falling off bridges, being saved by a man in red, or standing on rooftops with no memory of how they got there. They weren't just fragments. They were implants. Someone was injecting false memories, or worse, reactivating real ones. At the edge of the city, in a forgotten corner of Ravencroft, Peter found the broken chamber. A shattered memory pod meant to erase trauma, now rewired to restore it. He scanned the interior. Acid scars, tail marks, electrical burns. Scorpion didn't escape. He was released, and that meant someone else was involved. That night, Peter visited MJ's bakery again, not to speak, just to watch. from a distance. Her laugh still made something in his chest ache. She was safe. He told himself that over and over. But even as she smiled, her fingers trembled as she wrote orders. Peter zoomed in with the suit's enhanced lens. She'd written the same name 3 times by mistake. Peter Parker. The moment shattered him, not just because she remembered, but because she didn't know why. He swung away before she could turn, before she could see him standing there, heart bleeding behind the mask. That's when the explosion hit. Across the river in downtown Manhattan, a bright green flash erupted through the skyline, like a flare, but thicker, almost organic. Peter didn't wait. He followed the light, dodging fire escapes and helicopters until he reached the rooftop it came from. It wasn't just a flare. It was a beacon, and wrapped around it was a body, strung up in glowing webbing made of memory threads, neurons twitching across the victim's skull. It was a civilian, a janitor, face frozen in terror. A note pulsed beneath him in holographic code. This isn't revenge. This is recall. Peter barely had time to process it when the rooftop cracked beneath his feet. The building was booby-trapped. Neural mines hidden under the gravel triggered with his motion. He flipped backward, launching 2 web lines as the roof detonated in a wave of memory energy. Flashbacks slammed into him. Uncle Ben's last breath. Flash Thompson's fist. Gwen's scream. He landed hard on a neighboring ledge, shaking violently, barely holding on. Whoever was doing this, it wasn't just Scorpion anymore. It was someone who understood the spell. Someone who understood Peter. He returned to the sanctum. Strange had sealed Scorpion in a reinforced containment field, but the sorcerer was pale. His hands trembled as he conjured shields and layered spells. "This isn't contained," Strange said. Peter nodded. "Someone is using memory itself as a weapon." Strange glanced at the cracked mirror dimension portal in the corner. They're not just triggering old thoughts. They're waking connected minds, like pulling one thread and unraveling the whole spell. Peter paced. How many people could that affect? Potentially the world. They needed answers. Fast. And there was only one mind twisted enough to dissect memory tech and turn it into a virus. Norman Osborn. Strange refused to send Peter, so Peter went alone. Under Ravencroft's underbelly, deeper than the known cells, Norman sat in a room with no sharp edges and walls made of psychic stone. His eyes lit up the moment Peter entered. "I knew you'd come," Norman said. Peter stayed silent. "You feel it, don't you? The fracture. The timeline screaming." Peter slammed a photo of the beacon on the table. "Who built this?" Norman smiled like a child who'd been waiting to open a gift. Project Recall." Peter froze. That name, Scorpion had whispered it. It was supposed to be a failsafe, Norman explained. Back when Fury thought memory spells could be reversed. The tech was never finished. Too unstable. Too personal. Peter gritted his teeth. "Who has it now?" Norman leaned forward. "You don't understand, do you? This isn't someone using your memories against you. This is someone trying to wake up the entire city, to pull your identity back into the world, whether you want it or not." Peter stared. "Why?" "Because memory is power, and Spider-Man's memory is trauma, guilt, grief. That kind of energy can twist anyone, especially those who used to fear you." Peter backed away slowly. He knew now. This wasn't about one villain remembering. It was about turning everyone into a version of him. Scorpion was just the trigger. The real mastermind was the machine itself. Someone had taken Project Recall and built it into a living neurovirus. One that didn't destroy memory, it rebooted it. Every person Peter had ever saved, every enemy he ever fought, every bystander who watched from a window, they were all being reconnected. One painful thread at a time. It wasn't a war anymore. It was a resurrection. Back on the streets, Peter checked MJ's bakery again. The lights were off, but on the window, someone had scratched a symbol with their finger. Not a spider, a scorpion. Beneath it, she's starting to remember. Peter didn't wait. He burst through the door, bakery empty, chairs overturned. And then he heard it. From the basement, MJ screamed. Peter didn't knock. He blasted the basement door off its hinges with a web-powered kick, heart racing, fists clenched. The basement was dark, flooded with electrical static. Dust drifted like ash. And in the center, strapped to a twisted chair of wires and flickering screens, MJ was screaming. He launched forward, slicing through the restraints with web blades. Her head thrashed, caught in a halo of pulsing memory bands, each one glowing with images. Peter's face, the kiss, the bridge, the blood. She saw everything, and it was tearing her apart. Peter ripped the wires loose. Sparks exploded. The projector shorted out. MJ collapsed into his arms, breathing fast, trembling. She looked up at him. For a moment, silence. Then she whispered, like it was breaking through ice. Peter. It hit him like a thunderclap. Her eyes were wet. Her voice was real. She remembered. Not completely, but enough to crack the spell. Peter held her close, shaking. He didn't say a word. Couldn't. But behind him, a slow mechanical hiss echoed through the hallway. He stood quickly, webbed MJ into a corner, shielding her from what was coming. Out of the shadows stepped something wrong. Not Scorpion, not Gargan. Something built from him. It looked like Scorpion, same tail, same armor, but its eyes flickered with blue code, not green hate. And it didn't speak like Gargan. It spoke in everyone's voice at once. "You were never forgotten," it said. Peter backed up. "Who are you?" The thing tilted its head. "We are memory. What the city buried. What you chose to erase. You broke the chain. We pulled it back." Peter looked at its chest. Where a heart would be, there was a spinning core of light. Project Recall, turned into a breathing entity. "You turned a memory virus into a mind," Peter growled. "We didn't turn it," the creature said. "We were born from it. Every thought of Spider-Man that was wiped, we became them." Peter fired webs, fast, precise. But they dissolved mid-air. The creature moved like mist, like thought, wrapping its tail around Peter's leg and slamming him through a support beam. "You wanted to be forgotten," it whispered. "But now we remember everything. And soon, so will the world." Peter countered, spun, grabbed the tail, and slammed the creature through the wall. Concrete shattered. He landed blow after blow, but each one hit like a dream. Never solid, never enough. Then it said one name, May. Peter froze. The creature reached out, one digit becoming a projector. And there, in full projection, Aunt May appeared, smiling, bleeding, dying. "You lost her for us. You let her die." Peter screamed and ripped the device out of its chest with a surge of raw power. Energy surged. The creature flickered. "MJ," Peter shouted. "Get out. Now." But she didn't run. She stood, swaying, watching him. Her voice cracked. "I remember the rooftop. The donut shop. I remember you." Peter stared at her, broken. The creature hissed. "You can't stop what's already been restored." Peter tossed the core to MJ. "Smash it." She stared at it, torn between fear and truth. And then she threw it, hard, into the floor. The memory core shattered. The creature screamed, fracturing into blinding data, memories flickering, dissolving into light. Then silence, real silence. Peter caught MJ as she fell into his arms. She looked at him again, eyes full of tears and recognition. This time, she didn't whisper. She said it like she meant it. "Peter." And he knew. Everything had just changed. The memory core was gone. Its light faded into dust. The basement quiet now. Only the sound of MJ breathing against Peter's chest. He held her for a moment longer, not moving, afraid it would all disappear again if he let go. But she didn't fade. She remembered. Her fingers touched his jaw like it was familiar, like it always had been. "I thought I was dreaming," she whispered. "But you were always there, somewhere, like a shadow in the corner of every smile." Peter smiled through the pain. "I never stopped watching over you." Outside, the city had no idea what had just happened. No alarms, no headlines, just ordinary life continuing. While down here, the impossible had happened. The spell was breaking, and it started with one memory. Strange arrived minutes later, drawn by the rupture in magical balance. He stood silently, taking in the scattered tech, the flickers of neural code still pulsing in the floor. He looked at Peter and MJ, then said what Peter had been dreading. "If she remembers, others will too." Peter nodded. "It's already spreading. Do you understand what that means?" Strange's tone was calm, but heavy. The original spell was designed to preserve the multiverse's integrity. If it unravels, Peter didn't flinch. Let it unravel. Strange stared at him, then looked to MJ. She didn't speak. She didn't run. She just took Peter's hand. Strange exhaled slowly. "Then I'll try to contain the fallout. But you've chosen your path." He turned to go. Peter called after him. "What about Scorpion?" "He won't remember any of this," Strange replied. "I locked his mind behind 7 veils." "But the machine," Peter started. Strange stopped. "It's destroyed. But memory isn't." The portal sparked and he vanished. Peter and MJ stood in the broken basement, light flickering, future uncertain. She looked at him. "So what happens now?" Peter glanced at the ceiling, as if trying to see through layers of time and space. "I think people are going to start asking questions," he said. "Start remembering things they were never supposed to." MJ smiled. "Good." She stepped closer. "Let them remember who saved them." In the days that followed, strange things began to happen across New York. A boy who once fell from a high-rise swore he saw a red blur catch him, but no one believed him. A police captain opened a case file from 2018 and found a photo of Spider-Man, except it had no metadata, no origin. And in the Daily Bugle's archives, one corrupted hard drive suddenly recovered, and all it contained was a voice clip. With great power comes great responsibility. Peter walked through the city again. This time, something was different. Not everyone looked at him, but some paused. Some stared longer. A few even smiled. It was small, but it was real. MJ opened the bakery one morning and found a letter slid under the door. No name, just a drawing of a web and a single line. "I remember." Peter watched from a rooftop as she read it. She didn't cry. She smiled. Down in the alley, someone was painting over a wall of graffiti. They didn't notice the faint outline underneath, the red and blue figure with white lenses. But it was there, and this time it wasn't fading. It was coming back. The world may have forgotten Spider-Man, but memory found its way home. And this time, it was never letting go.